I still remember the moment everything shifted, the moment a single lie turned an ordinary afternoon into something I would never forget. It was a warm Sunday in Columbus, Ohio. Lauren, my girlfriend at the time, had invited me to her family's cookout. I'd been to their house before, but this time felt different. She kept asking me if I was sure I wanted to come. She said it the way someone asks if you're sure you want to walk into a storm. But I didn't think much of it. I thought we were fine. I thought her family liked me. So I pulled up to their big two-story house, bright banners, music playing, kids yelling in the yard. It should have felt inviting. But the moment I stepped through the gate, the entire backyard went still. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Chairs creaked. People turned their heads slowly, like they were checking to see if a rumor had just walked in. At first, I actually looked behind me. I thought maybe someone else was causing the reaction. But no. It was me. And I felt a quiet, heavy pressure settle on my shoulders. Lauren was standing near the grill, talking with her mom. The second she noticed me, her smile flickered, quick, nervous, almost apologetic. She didn't walk over. She didn't hug me. She didn't even wave. Instead, her cousin Matt jogged up to me with this awkward half-smile. "Hey man," he said, patting my shoulder like I had just gone through something tragic. "Sorry to hear about, everything." I blinked. Everything? He hesitated. "Yeah, the job situation." "Job situation?" I felt my stomach twist, but before I could ask anything else, Lauren's mom walked up. She spoke to me in this soft, slow voice, like she was comforting a disappointed child. "We just want you to know we're not judging you," she said. "Everybody goes through hard times." Hard times? I stood there completely confused. I had a stable job, a steady income, and a good year ahead of me. I wasn't struggling with anything. "What exactly did you hear?" I asked. Her mom exchanged a look with Lauren's dad. Then he stepped forward, cleared his throat, and said, "Son, a man doesn't have to pretend. We all face setbacks. There's no shame in starting over." Starting over? Setbacks? Pretending? I felt heat rise in my chest. Not anger, just disbelief. Shock. The kind of shock that slows everything down until all you can hear is your own heartbeat. I turned to Lauren. She finally walked over, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. She looked at the ground, then at the snacks on the table, at anything except me. "Lauren," I said quietly, "what did you tell them?" Her face tightened. "Can we talk about this later?" "No," I whispered. "What did you say?" But before she could answer, her aunt stepped up behind me with a plate of brownies. "Honey, don't worry," she said. "You'll find your path again. You seem like a smart young man." Find my path again? My throat went dry. Piece by piece, the truth started to form in my mind. A story. A rumor. A lie being whispered around this backyard like smoke drifting through the air. And I realized Lauren wasn't just avoiding my eyes, she was hiding something. Finally, her father let out a long sigh and said, "We know you're struggling right now. But we see potential in you. You don't need to feel embarrassed around us." That was it. That was the moment the whole picture snapped into place. They all thought I was jobless. They all thought I was drifting through life. They all thought I was dependent on Lauren. Someone had told them I was unstable. Directionless. A burden. And there was only one person who could have told them that. Lauren. My girlfriend, the person who saw me work long hours, study for certifications, and fight for every part of my career, had rewritten my entire life into something small and pitiful. I felt the air leave my chest. But I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself, not yet. I just looked at her. And she still wouldn't meet my eyes. Right then, I understood the truth. Lauren told her family I was useless. And they believed her. I didn't know it at the time, but that quiet backyard, with all those eyes watching me like I was some broken thing. That was the day everything changed, more than I ever expected. If that cookout was the spark, then what came after was the slow burn, the part where I started understanding just how far Lauren's story had gone. Because here's the truth she never told anyone: I wasn't lost. I wasn't drifting. I wasn't trying my best. I had built a good life for myself. A life I was proud of. My name's Michael Reynolds. I'm 32, born in Detroit, now living in Columbus. I work in IT, nothing glamorous, nothing flashy, but steady. Real. I spent years studying at night, earning certifications, fixing problems most people never even see. Server crashes. Network failures. Those hidden things that keep companies running. I never bragged about it, because bragging wasn't who I was. I liked being dependable. I liked knowing that when something went wrong, people turned to me because they trusted me, not because I talked big. But somehow, Lauren turned all of that into something small. The funny thing is, when we first met, she said she loved that about me. She said she liked how grounded I was. She liked that I didn't care about posting every little thing online. She liked that I didn't try to impress anyone. I didn't know that what she really meant was, I like that you're the opposite of my family. Because Lauren's world was built on appearances. Her parents were the type who competed over who had the shinier car, the bigger bonus, the more impressive story to tell at dinners. Success wasn't something they felt, it was something they performed. Like a show. A constant presentation. And Lauren grew up inside that show. She learned early that being honest wasn't as important as looking successful. Looking confident. Looking perfect. She didn't just fear her family's judgment, she lived in it. And once I stepped into her world, she started reshaping me to fit their expectations. It happened slowly at first. Little comments she made when we were out with her friends. Small jokes she brushed off as nothing serious. The way she'd interrupt me when I talked about my work, and steer the conversation towards something her family would find more interesting. Then the wording started to change. Instead of saying, Michael works in IT, she would say, Michael's figuring out his path. Instead of, he's working on a big project, she'd say, he's trying his best. And behind my back, she went even further. I heard it in whispers from her cousin. I heard it in the way her mother said, some people bloom later than others. I heard it in the way her friends said, it's sweet that you're patient with him. Patient? For what? I had a career. I had stability. I had worked hard for everything I had. But to them, that wasn't enough, not because of what I was, but because of what I wasn't. I wasn't flashy. I wasn't loud. I wasn't the guy who walked into a room and grabbed attention. And in Lauren's world, being quiet meant being forgettable. Being stable meant being unremarkable. And being unremarkable meant being nothing. I didn't know she was painting that picture until the cookout forced everything into the open. A few days after that backyard disaster, I confronted her. Not angry. Just tired. Why would you tell them those things? I asked. She avoided my eyes, playing with the sleeve of her sweater. I didn't say anything bad. You told them I was struggling, I said. You told them I had no direction. She shrugged, as if it was obvious. It made things easier. Those 4 words. It made things easier. I felt something inside me fold in on itself. Easier for who? Certainly not for me. Lauren finally looked up, and she said it like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. If they think you're still figuring things out, they won't judge you, or me. That last part hit me harder than the lie itself. Or me. Because that was the truth she didn't say out loud, she wasn't protecting me. She was protecting her image. She didn't want to be the daughter who dated the boring guy. She didn't want to bring home someone her family didn't brag about. She didn't want to admit she cared for someone who didn't fit their narrow definition of success. She cared more about their approval than my reality. And standing there in our small apartment, with her acting like her choices were no big deal, I realized something painful, but necessary. Lauren didn't see me as a partner. She saw me as a story. A character she could rewrite whenever she needed to impress someone. And she had rewritten me into someone I didn't even recognize. I didn't know it then, but that was the moment a quiet line formed inside me, a line she couldn't walk back over. A line that would lead to everything that happened next. I used to think a lie was just a sentence, something small, something whispered, something that faded with time. But that wasn't true. Not for the kind of lie Lauren created. Because hers didn't fade. It grew legs. It grew a voice. And soon, it walked into places I never expected. It started a few days after the cookout. I walked into our favorite coffee shop, one we visited every weekend, and the barista, who barely knew me, gave me this warm, pitying smile. "Rough month, huh?" he said as he handed me my drink. I frowned. "What do you mean?" He hesitated. "Oh. Lauren mentioned you were going through a hard time. I just wanted to say hang in there." I stood there holding my cup like it weighed 50 pounds. Lauren mentioned, to him. To a barista. Why? But I brushed it off. I told myself it was a misunderstanding. Except it wasn't. Because the next day, my neighbor asked if I needed help finding something steady. And a week after that, one of Lauren's coworkers gave me a long pep talk about reinventing myself and not giving up. People I barely knew were talking to me like I was fragile glass. Rumors weren't just spreading, they were moving faster than I could keep up with. And every time someone said something supportive, the same thought hit me, who told you this? But deep down, I already knew. Lauren wasn't just telling her family the lie. She was telling everyone. At first, she did it quietly, little comments slipped into conversations. "Oh, he's figuring things out. He's in a transition phase. He's trying so hard." Trying. Transition. What transition? I was working more than ever. I had deadlines, meetings, projects, yet somehow, outside my job, stories were spreading like wildfire that I was barely holding my life together. I confronted her one night after dinner. "Lauren, why is everyone acting like I'm falling apart?" She blinked, confused, or pretending to be. "What do you mean?" "People keep saying they're sorry I'm struggling." "You've been telling people something." She sighed, like I was being dramatic. "I'm not telling them anything bad. I'm just explaining." "Explaining what?" "That things are tough for you," she said softly. "My friends just think I should be patient." I felt my chest tighten. "Patient?" I repeated. "Patient for what? I'm not failing at anything." She crossed her arms. "You don't talk about your accomplishments, Michael. People fill in the gaps. If you shared more, maybe they wouldn't assume." I stared at her. "People are assuming because of you," I said quietly. She didn't answer. She didn't deny it. She didn't correct me. And in that silence, something cold settled in my stomach. I realized she wasn't just spreading a lie. She was starting to believe it herself. It showed in the way she spoke to me, slow, careful, like I might break at any second. It showed in how she made decisions without asking me, assuming I needed support. It showed in the way she explained my life to her friends with this soft, gentle tone, like she was carrying a burden. And every time she talked about me like that, a piece of my confidence slipped away. People stopped asking me about my job. They stopped treating me like an equal. They acted like I was some project in Lauren's life, a responsibility she had taken on. I started pulling back from social events. I avoided small talk. I even stopped visiting her friends' gatherings because I couldn't stand the looks they gave me, half sympathy, half judgment. It felt like I was disappearing from my own life. One night, after one of her friends made another comment about me, finding my rhythm again, something inside me cracked. I went home, sat on the edge of the bed, and stared at the floor. I felt erased. Like someone had taken a marker and scribbled over the parts of me I was proud of. Lauren walked into the room, still laughing from the evening. When she saw my face, her smile faded. "Are you okay?" she asked. "No," I said quietly. "I'm not." She sat beside me but kept a small distance, like she wasn't sure how close to get. "What's wrong?" she whispered. "Do you even know who I am anymore?" I asked. Her breath caught. "Michael, don't be dramatic." But that was the moment I realized something painful: she didn't see the real me. She only saw the story she had created. And she had repeated it so many times, she believed it more than the truth. That night, I went to bed feeling smaller than I had ever felt. And in that silence, in that dark room, one thought stayed with me like a whisper: if she could erase my identity this easily, what else was she capable of? That question would follow me into the next chapter of my life, and the answer would be more shocking than anything I had imagined. I didn't realize how badly the lie had twisted my life, until the night it reached its breaking point. It happened on a Thursday, quiet evening, nothing unusual. Lauren and I had dinner with her parents at their house. I remember thinking maybe things would feel normal again. Maybe the rumors had cooled down. But the moment we walked inside, her father pulled me aside with this serious expression. He didn't ask how work was going. He didn't talk about anything casual. He just got straight to it. "Michael," he said, "I've been thinking about you." Thinking about me. That already felt wrong. He continued, "A friend of mine owns a construction company. He said he'd be willing to take you on. Just something to get you started again." Started again? I felt my stomach drop. I appreciate the offer," I said slowly, "but I'm already working full-time." Her father gave me the same look you'd give someone who was pretending everything was okay. "Son, there's no shame in a starter job. You need stability right now. Something to rebuild with." Rebuild? I stared at him, unable to even speak for a moment. I didn't need a starter job. I didn't need rebuilding. My career wasn't broken. But Lauren had convinced him it was. When I turned to look at her, she didn't seem surprised at all. She just stood there, arms crossed, staring at the floor, as if she expected this conversation. And that hurt more than anything her father said. Later that night, back at our apartment, I finally asked her directly. "Is that what you've been telling them? That I need a starter job?" She sighed, like she was tired of the whole topic. "I didn't say it exactly like that. But they're worried about us, Michael. They think I'm carrying the relationship." Carrying the relationship. She said it so casually, like it was some simple truth she had accepted. I felt a sharp sting in my chest. Carrying it how? "Emotionally," she said. "And, well, financially, eventually." "Eventually?" I repeated. "Lauren, I've never asked you for money." "Not once." She didn't deny it. That was the part that got me. She didn't walk it back. She didn't say I misunderstood. She just said, "My friends think I've been really patient with you. They say I deserve someone who's already established." I stared at her, stunned. "I am established." She shrugged. "Not in a way they understand." And that was the moment, right there, where I felt something inside me shift. This wasn't just a misunderstanding anymore. This wasn't just a rumor that got out of hand. This was the version of me she chose to believe. The lie she told had become our entire relationship. I felt myself slipping away, shrinking inside her story. And the worst part? She didn't even realize how much it was breaking me. I sat on the edge of the bed that night, staring into the dark, wondering, did she ever respect me at all? Or had she always needed me to be smaller, so she could look bigger? She came into the room a little later, arms folded, like she'd already made up her mind about everything. "Michael," she said, "I don't know how long I can keep waiting. I don't want to feel held back." Held back. It hit me like ice water. The lies weren't just hurting my reputation, they were destroying how she saw me as a partner. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I just sat there, staring at the floor, feeling the weight of a relationship collapsing because of a story I never agreed to be part of. And then, just when I thought things couldn't break any further, something happened. Something I didn't expect. Something that changed everything. The kind of moment that flips a whole story on its head. I didn't expect the turning point to arrive on such a normal morning. No warning. No big sign. Just a simple message from my manager, "Mike, stop by my office when you have a minute." I walked down the hall thinking it was something small, maybe a schedule change or a quick update about the team. My mind was still stuck on the conversation with Lauren, replaying every painful word. Carrying the relationship. Holding her back. Start her job. All of it swirled in my head like a storm I couldn't slow down. But when I stepped into my manager's office, I felt something shift. He was smiling. "Close the door," he said. I did, feeling a hint of confusion. He slid a folder across the desk toward me. "Read that." I opened it, and froze. Inside was a formal promotion letter. Signed. Stamped. Official. A raise. A title change. A leadership position. And not just any project, but the biggest one our department had taken on in years. I looked up at him. "Are you sure this is for me?" He laughed. "Of course it is. You've earned this. No one's put in more effort than you." I stared at the paper again, my mind racing. This wasn't just a small step forward. This was life-changing. While Lauren was busy telling the world I was lost, my company saw me as the most dependable person on the team. While people whispered that I had no direction, here was proof, real proof, that I was building something solid, something meaningful. For a moment, I just sat there, too stunned to speak. My manager leaned back in his chair. "Michael, you're one of the most reliable people here. Don't ever doubt that." Reliable. The word hit me harder than he knew. Because lately, every whisper, every rumor, every sideways look from people in Lauren's circle had chipped away at who I believed I was. And now, this single document put all the pieces back together. When I left the office, I walked to my car slowly. I held the folder in my hands like it was something fragile. But inside me, something strong was growing. Clarity. For weeks, I carried the weight of humiliation, feeling erased, misunderstood, made small by someone who claimed to love me. But now, something different rose in its place. Purpose. I sat in the driver's seat and stared at the letter again. This was the truth. My truth. Lauren didn't just lie about me. She distorted my whole identity, turning me into someone weak, someone clueless, someone who needed her guidance. But this paper proved I was none of those things. And as the reality settled in, a new thought formed, steady, cold, undeniable: her lie wasn't just unfair. It was destructive. It had affected my relationships. My confidence. My sense of self. And the worst part? She didn't feel guilty about it. She felt justified. That was the moment something inside me clicked. I wasn't going to beg her to see the truth. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to try to fix the story she broke. I was going to reveal it. Not out of spite. Not out of anger. But because I finally understood something important, when someone builds their identity on lies, the truth becomes their greatest opponent. I took a deep breath, feeling the shift inside me. From hurt, to clarity. From humiliation, to purpose. And in that quiet parking lot, holding the document that restored who I was, I made a decision: if she built her lie in public, I would reveal the truth in public too. Everything that happened next started with that single choice. I didn't feel angry anymore. That surprised me. After everything Lauren had said, after the rumors, after watching my own identity get rewritten right in front of me, I expected anger. I expected the kind of heat that makes you want to shout or slam a door. But instead, I felt calm. Cold, steady calm. Maybe it was the promotion letter sitting on my passenger seat. Maybe it was the clarity that came with finally seeing the truth. Or maybe I was simply done letting someone else control the story of my life. Either way, something inside me had shifted. When I got home that night, Lauren was on the couch scrolling through her phone. She didn't look up right away, not until she noticed the expression on my face. Then she sat up straighter. "Are you okay?" she asked. "I'm fine," I said. My voice was flat. Controlled. And I think that threw her off more than anything else. She studied me for a second, then brightened a little. "Hey, my parents are hosting game night tomorrow. They want us to come." Game night. The same group of people who believed I was directionless, jobless, and barely holding myself together. A room full of the relatives she had fed the lie to. She was inviting me back into the lion's den, thinking I'd just play along again. "Sure," I said with a calm nod. Her eyebrows lifted. She wasn't expecting me to agree so easily. "Really?" she asked. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Let's go." She smiled, relieved. She thought everything was smoothing over. She thought the worst had passed. But it hadn't. Not even close. I went into our bedroom and gently placed the promotion letter into a clean folder. I ran my fingers across the cover, feeling the weight of what it represented. Not money. Not status. Truth. That's all I wanted. Not revenge that burned. Revenge that revealed. No shouting. No accusations. Just the truth standing on its own 2 feet. I didn't want to embarrass her. I didn't want to destroy her. I didn't want the drama she always feared so much. All I wanted was for the lie to end. For my name back. For myself back. The next morning, Lauren was in unusually high spirits as we got ready. She hummed while she put on makeup. She asked me twice if I wanted coffee. She even joked about winning at game night. She didn't notice the folder I slipped into my jacket. She didn't notice how quiet I was. Or maybe she did, but didn't care enough to ask why. On the drive over, she talked about her sister's new job, her mom's hobby group, her dad's latest story about work. She filled the silence with small things. I just listened. Not cold. Not rude. Just quiet. Because I had finally learned something important: silence can be stronger than shouting. When we pulled into her parents' driveway, a familiar wave of memories washed over me. The looks. The whispers. The pity. But something was different this time. I didn't feel small. I didn't feel ashamed. I didn't feel like an outsider. I felt ready. Her father greeted us at the door. He gave me that same sympathetic smile, the one that said he still believed every piece of the story Lauren had told. "Good to see you, Michael," he said warmly. "Hoping things are getting better for you." I returned the smile. "They are." Lauren glanced at me quickly, like she wasn't sure what I meant. But she brushed it off, already walking ahead. Everyone was gathered in the living room: cousins, siblings, friends of the family. All the people who had heard her repeated version of my life. They welcomed me with the same soft, gentle tones people use for someone they think is struggling. This time, I didn't shrink from it. I looked around the room, raised my head, and took a slow breath. I knew exactly what I was about to do. I wasn't here to argue. I wasn't here to defend myself. I wasn't here to match Lauren's lies with more conflict. I was here to show them who I really was. Quietly. Simply. Honestly. I rested a hand on the folder inside my jacket. Lauren had no idea what was coming. Game night started the same way it always did, with loud voices, laughter, and the sound of snack bowls being passed around. But underneath all of that, I felt something sharper. A tension. A pressure. Like the whole room was waiting for me to slip. I walked in beside Lauren, and instantly the comments started. Her aunt smiled at me the way a nurse smiles at a tired patient. "Hope you're staying positive, sweetheart." Her cousin added, "Yeah, man, things get better eventually. Just keep hanging in there." I forced a small smile. "Thanks." Lauren glanced at me, giving a quick warning look, as if she hoped I wouldn't embarrass her by correcting them. But I didn't correct anything. Not yet. We took our seats around the big living room coffee table. Cards were shuffled. Dice rolled. Everyone settled into their usual groups. Except me. I wasn't focused on the game. I was focused on the truth sitting quietly inside my jacket. Halfway through the first round, her father spoke up. "Michael, how are things going for you these days? Making any progress?" The room went silent. All eyes shifted to me. I nodded slowly. "Actually, yeah. Things are going very well." A few people exchanged surprised looks, as if I'd said something impossible. Lauren stiffened beside me. "Michael," I held up a calm hand. "Before we continue the game," I said softly, "there's something I want to share. Something important." Every head turned. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel small. I felt steady. I reached into my jacket and pulled out the folder. Lauren's face turned pale. "Michael, what are you doing?" I didn't answer her. I kept my voice level, respectful, clear. "This is my promotion letter," I said. "I received it yesterday." Her father frowned. "Promotion?" I opened the folder and placed the paper on the table where everyone could see it. A few relatives leaned in, reading the bold letters at the top. "Leadership role, major project," someone muttered. Another relative whispered, "This is impressive." I spoke quietly, letting every word land. "I have a stable career. I've worked in IT for years. I have certifications. I lead projects. I've never been struggling. I've never been directionless. Not once." Silence. Real, stunned silence. I continued, "But I know that's not the story many of you heard. Somewhere along the way, you were told I was failing, that I had no stability, that I was someone who needed help." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't point fingers. The truth did all the work on its own. Her father turned slowly toward Lauren. "Is this true?" Lauren opened her mouth, but nothing came out. "Lauren," her mother asked, voice trembling. "Why would you say those things?" Finally, she managed, I wasn't lying. I was just trying to make things easier for everyone." "For everyone?" her sister repeated. "How does lying about Michael make anything easier?" Lauren looked around the room, panicked. "I didn't mean for it to get this big. I didn't think he'd care." Those words hit me harder than anything else. I stood up quietly. "I cared," I said. "I cared a lot." She reached for my arm. "Michael, please, don't do this here." I gently pulled away. "You did this here." Her father looked devastated. Her mother looked disappointed. Her cousins looked uncomfortable. The entire room felt like it had been flipped upside down. But I stayed calm. "I'm not angry," I said. "I'm just done living inside a story that isn't mine." She shook her head, tears forming. "Michael, I can explain." "No," I said softly. "You've explained enough." And then I said the words I had been holding inside for far too long. "Lauren, we're done." Her breath caught. "You're ending it?" "Yes," I said. Respectfully. Quietly. "And right now." I picked up the folder, gave her family a polite nod, and walked to the door. No shouting. No drama. Just truth. I didn't look back. As the door closed behind me, their voices burst into confusion, questions, disappointment, disbelief, but I kept walking. For the first time in a long time, I felt whole again. And I left that house knowing one thing for sure: sometimes the truth doesn't just speak for you. Sometimes, it sets you free. The night I walked out of Lauren's parents' house, I expected to feel empty. But instead, I felt light, almost like I'd stepped out from under a shadow I didn't realize was following me. Of course, the world didn't go silent after that. Lauren started calling within an hour. First one missed call. Then another. Then 10. Then 20. By the time I woke up the next morning, my phone was filled with messages. "Please talk to me. You didn't have to do that in front of them. I can explain everything. You embarrassed me. I didn't mean for it to get out of hand. Michael, please, I need you." But every message sounded the same, all about her fear, her discomfort, her embarrassment, and never once about the way her lies had affected me. Not once did she say, "I'm sorry." So I didn't answer. Not a single call. Not one text. I wasn't silent out of anger. I was silent because I finally understood: some conversations aren't worth having when the other person never valued the truth to begin with. By the end of the week, her calls slowed down, turning from desperate to resentful. "You're being dramatic. You're ruining everything. You didn't have to take it that far." But the truth is, I hadn't taken anything anywhere. Her own actions had carried her there. A few days later, something surprising happened. Her family reached out to me, one by one. Her mother messaged first. She apologized for believing the worst about me without ever asking me directly. Her father emailed me a long letter, saying he respected the way I handled everything. He even wrote, "I judged you unfairly, and that's on me." Her sister left a voicemail saying, "I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that." Each apology felt like a small step toward closure, not because I needed their approval, but because their words acknowledged what I had gone through. It was strange, really. Lauren had spent months trying to convince them I was someone I wasn't. But the truth shattered the lie in seconds. After that, I focused on something simple: my own life. I threw myself into the new role at work. The big project challenged me in the best way possible. My team respected me. My manager trusted me. Every day felt like I was rebuilding the parts of myself Lauren tried to shrink. I started going to the gym again. Spent more time outdoors. Reconnected with old friends who valued me for who I actually was. I slept better. Breathed easier. Laughed more. And slowly, quietly, my confidence came back. One evening, weeks later, I sat on my balcony watching the sunset spread across the Columbus skyline. It felt peaceful for the first time in a long while. That was when I finally allowed myself to reflect on everything that happened. Lauren's betrayal didn't come from strength. It came from insecurity. People lie when they're scared. People rewrite others when they feel small inside themselves. People tear down what they fear they can't live up to. And the truth? The truth doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to fight. It just needs to appear. Because once it appears, everything built on lies collapses under its own weight. I realized something else, too. Respect should come from sincerity, not image. Not presentation. Not performance. The right people will value who you are, not who someone else says you are. So here's the lesson I walked away with, the one that still guides me today: when someone lies about your worth, they're only exposing their fear of it. And once the truth comes out, their story collapses on its own. And as I watched the city lights come on one by one, I knew with absolute certainty, I didn't just walk away from Lauren. I walked back to myself. If this story hit your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these real moments of truth and justice reach more people. Stay strong, stay wise, and I'll see you in the next story.